down the drain.
I love the smell of napalm in the mornings.
Why should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future?
And now, for your listening pleasure, streaming live from Big Johnson Studios, it's the Ledge Radio Show with media entertainment phenom JD.
Welcome to the program. Thanks to executive producer Tripod Billy, we are streaming live video on Ustream. Search the Ledge Radio Show to find us. You can follow us on Facebook and listen on iTunes and Podcast Cafe Live. Big thanks to our union-loving, government-job-wanting, big government-needing co-host Brian from Naples.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for being here, buddy. Phone lines are open, 239-689-8674. That's 239-689-8674. For those of you who haven't followed us or are just tuning in, Brian from Naples has been a frequent listener and avid caller, or vice versa. He's always been a welcome guest on the show, even if we didn't always agree. And there's been certainly some heated discussions in the past. But I always value his input. And strangely enough, more recently, we've even agreed on some topics. We don't agree on everything for sure, but we've agreed on some things. And I don't know if that's because I'm getting soft in my stance, or if Brian is starting to,
I'm toughening up.
Maybe you're toughening up.
I'll admit that I've changed some of my views.
Okay.
If that was going to make me a flip flopper, as I get older, I guess I get wiser.
Okay. Well, that's now. I'm assuming you're saying that because of our flip flopping ex-governor Charlie Crist. Maybe is that where that came from?
I've always been a fan of Charlie Crist, so I can't. But I also like Jeb Bush, and there's not a lot about Rick Scott, but there's a lot about Rick Scott that I think he's done some really good things for Florida. So I know where you're going with that. I mean, I know that for the basics of economy, I think he's done well. Maybe in your particular profession, you wouldn't be as you wouldn't love him as much per se, because he's certainly not been a big help to the some of the state unions or the such as firefighters, cops, teachers, kind of thing. So for folks that are in those professions, they definitely wouldn't see him as someone that that has helped them a lot in their profession. I've always wondered where do we change directions? After World War II, our grandparents came back, and they were heroes,
right?
And they took the job. Like my grandfather took a job at Pratt & Whitney in Connecticut, a union job with a retirement pension, and he worked there for 30 years.
Sure,
and he retired on a pension. People live a little longer, I guess. I mean, he lived into his late 70s, early 80s. People are still living 70, 80s. Sometimes they're stretching into the hundreds.
Yeah.
There's always those, medicine's come a long way. But where do we turn? Where did that union guy or that guy with a job who has a pension, where did that change? How did all of a sudden he become the bad guy?
Well, I think that's the misnomer, is that it's not that guy. That guy isn't the bad guy. Brian, you're not the bad guy. You're the guys that are on shift with you at the fire station. Mm-hmm. They're not the bad guys just because they happen to be in a union. And I think that people think that because you have a lot of Republicans, conservatives that are not union folks. We're anti-union people say. That doesn't mean that we're anti-union people. We're not. We have no problems with the people that are in the unions. I think more and by and large, it's the fact that typically unions support Democrat candidates in politics. So when it comes down to it, if 90% of unions support Democrat policies, then of course the Republicans are going to be against it, whatever it is. Not that they're against the firefighters or cops, or because a lot of them are Republican. They just happened to
Well, I
maybe
mean,
they
there-
had to join a union, or if they didn't, they were kind of the scab of the department. I've seen it. And I've heard that terminology even not at your department, but one's close by.
Yeah. We're 100%, you know, and there's a lot of guys that are not, we call them, you know,
What do you guys call them if they wouldn't join the union?
They call the guys that like the union and are proud to be in the union. Some of the other guys call them union thugs.
Okay.
We don't push our agenda. We don't push anything. I just feel that, you know, if a union, let's just say the IAFF,
Okay.
if they're gonna toss their hat into the mix and say we're gonna support candidate A, B, or C, and candidate A is for unions having the right to form and unions having the right to do what unions do, but B and C
Or not.
are not and want to take that right away.
But isn't it? But don't you guys notice that you're supporting that it's only one party that's for unions, and it's been the party. The reason why they want the unions is because they have a large base. It's all for organizing purposes. That if they can get the union, they get the base.
Every party has their base.
The bottom line is, though,
They're lobbyists.
sure, absolutely. Like the NRA's got lobbyists, this union's got theirs, or Pitney Bowes has theirs. I mean, big companies have their lobbyists. I mean, that's I completely understand that. What's so unbelievable, though, is that a lot of the guys that are in the union, and they're in there because, and you say you don't have to join it to be a part of the department. But if you don't join it and you are part of the department, you're going to be pissed on. I mean, they're going to, they're going to treat you differently.
No, they're not.
They
not
will.
in our department.
Then why are all of them in it?
Because they know it's a good thing.
Because
all it takes is one bad thing to happen to you, and you have that union to back you, to come stand beside you and say, yes, hey, Brian made a mistake.
So what you're saying is the union will take care of people who are crappy at their job.
Not crappy at their job, but everybody makes mistakes. It's not to say that, we've had I don't want to go into specifics about.
No, you don't have to.
There's been a lot of people that have been let go, and I'm not saying, because we'll step out of my field and go into teachers. A teacher does something wrong to a student. That union has to stand beside them to a point. You know what I'm saying?
It seems like they stand beside them all the way to the end.
Because this is the way I feel in my mind, is that you have to give every person the same treatment. Whether you think they're guilty or not, we have to stand up at some point and say, hey, this person's a union member. Okay, what's all the facts? What's the admin side? What's the employee side? Okay, now let's make a decision from there.
Right. But there's story after story that comes out in the news. Last week, the week before, speak specifically about teachers. Teachers that were going after children in a sexual way. They were caught doing it, and the union defended them to the end. I mean, they defended them to the end that you can't get rid of them. You got to keep paying them while they're out. They want them to have those benefits because as long as that teacher's getting paid, the union's still getting their dues.
Well, I mean, you're innocent until proven guilty. So, I mean, if that's the case, do you fire that person because, it could be the other side. It could be the other end of the coin. It could be a stout Republican and they're not part of a union, but now all of a sudden they're being fired for whatever reason. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Okay, so on that case, you take that person out, you put him on administrative leave, and hope that goes to court really fast. If it doesn't, that's not the union's fault.
Well, I know
that's not the Republicans or the Democrats' fault.
Sure, that's the
that's
judicial
system. That's our legal system.
Absolutely.
And we can go.
Well, there's one. There's several cases that I can cite, and here's one in particular. New York State, they've got anywhere from 6 to 10. I think it was 6 to 10 at any given time. And then back to teachers. Off of your, your profession, but teachers, that are literally, they have to report to these rubber rooms every day because they're so terrible with their children. They're not allowed to teach anymore. Mm-hmm. But because of their union contract, they have to receive pay until they retire because they're tenured. They can't get rid of them, but they sit in a rubber room all day getting paid because the union lobbied for it. If that would be any other private company, they'd have been fired or brought up on charges.
Then I ask you this question. Why did the school board agree to that?
Because they didn't want their teachers to strike. That's why. Leverage.
Well,
it's strong arming. That's what unions do. Maybe not maybe not the firefighters or cops because they're technically not supposed to. But what would stop you from doing it?
Stop me from, I would never.
What would stop a public employees union from striking? The law that says they can't? Is that what would stop them? What makes the admin bargain? Because it's out of the goodness of their heart?
I mean,
because they're afraid of striking.
Yeah, you as a business owner, I am your best technician.
Right.
I'm your best technician. Probably couldn't be replaced. I could probably be replaced, but it would take a while to replace me. Now I come in and I negotiate. Now, all of a sudden you have 5 technicians that are all standing there at your door. You're going to want to negotiate. It's the same thing.
That's hang on. That's mob mentality, though.
Well,
you got 5 technicians standing at my door, going, "Hey, you either give us raises or else." Well, hey man, you guys work for me. If you want to work here, this is the pay you're going to get. If you don't like working here, go down the road. I can either make the decision that either I'm underpaying these guys,
and in the end, that employee has that right to walk away. And the employer has the right to say, "Hey, you don't like it, too bad."
In a free society with a private company, but not in a public employees union, you can hold the admin, which are the taxpayers, hostage until you get what you want. Because, and I want to go back to something you said earlier, and I respect the fact that, like, was it your dad or your grandfather?
Yep.
Worked for a company for 30 years, retired, worked his butt off in a factory or whatever he did. And that's what people did for a long time. And back then, we've talked about this on the phone, we didn't have labor laws to speak of. Mm-hmm. We didn't have
But that's where all these labor
OSHA.
That's where all these labor laws came from.
Correct. You're absolutely right. So maybe I don't know that I can't tell you for fact that unions created them, but I would bet that they helped get them established. And then that brings me to my next point. If all of these all the labor laws are out there, all the safety laws are out there, because as you know, unions helped with safety hazards in the factories, mines, really terrible places to work that were unsafe. Guys worked many hours a day. Children worked in there. The unions helped organize. They helped get some of these laws passed. Now, come to this, this time, this date, what do we need the unions for now? We've got all those laws.
We have those laws, but in order to keep those laws,
the unions don't keep the laws.
Well, the laws can be changed.
Absolutely.
And they can be turned back.
So you guys keep the unions because you're afraid the laws will go away and you'll lose
well, the corporations have their lobbyists too.
Right.
So, and the corporations have their lobbyists trying to change the laws back. And that's where Wisconsin, where they're taking the rights of these union people away. They've had these rights all this time and say, "Oh, well, we don't need unions anymore because we have all these laws." Now all of a sudden unions go away.
Now there's a difference between a right and a law. Just so you know.
Correct.
Okay.
The unions go away.
Right.
They can't lobby anymore. They can't do anything because they're not allowed to organize anymore.
Right.
Now all the laws start to change again.
So do you are you saying that the public employees in Wisconsin are going to be subjected to child labor, extra long work hours, no more vacations? I mean, if they were, why wouldn't they just leave and go into the private sector? Because here's the thing. They've gotten so used to these fat cat salaries working as public employees.
I wouldn't consider my
maybe not you in particular, but if you look at our country as a whole now, those folks that came out of World War II that may have taken a government job, they went from being of service to the country to maintaining their service for the country, maybe being a school teacher, maybe being a postal worker or whatever, working at the utilities department. They were lower paid jobs, but they had good benefits.
Correct.
And that's why they did it. They wanted to have good benefits. They knew that they'd have a good retirement, that they could retire at the end of their
And the
career.
longer they were there, the more money they made. That's
Absolutely.
like any other job.
Sure.
If I came to work for you, the longer I'm around, the more knowledge I have, the more valuable I am.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing in the
And-
private sector. When you start as a firefighter, I mean, granted, we go back in the 70s or 80s. These guys were
They were they were volunteers too.
Well, they were, but we can go in a different direction if you want with that, with the volunteer or paid. I mean, you're either going to pay through your homeowner's insurance because your ISO rating is going to go down, or you can pay to have that guy and have that service. I mean, either way.
Well, here's been the trade-off, though. Like I said, they went from World War II or wherever they were to get this job, and they knew they were taking it'd be a pay cut because it was a service to their country. They did it out of love for their country and for benefits. Well, now because of the unions,
my grandfather worked for a corporation.
He was private. I understand, but for the folks that joined the public employee unions for cities and counties and municipalities, because of the unions over the years, now those are the coveted jobs.
Yep.
Those are the jobs to go get a position down where I used to work at the county, where take-home vehicle, 100% health care paid for, great salary, great retirement at the expense of the taxpayer. Now the public employee who's supposed to be providing a service for his country is now in the coveted position like a business owner. He's being treated. He's got the salary and the retirement of a business owner. There's no more. I'm working for the love of my country or the love of my state to service my county. Now it's I want that job because that job pays twice as much as the similar job in the private sector because they have unlimited power to tax, raise fees, and bargain with public employee unions to get us better pay. I mean. Now I wasn't in a union at that particular location, but we did get union benefits because we were attached to a union firefighter shop, and the benefits were great. I couldn't even look at a private job and say, man, why would I go do that? The only even reason I did it is because I was when I left to go start my own company was out of fear for losing my job, which by the way never occurred. They left my position open all this time, but then hired someone to fill it. But I was worried about my health care being cut, a lot of my services being cut. But things have switched a lot now to where the public jobs are the coveted jobs instead of the private sector. Because it used to be you worked at the post office and you made $12.33 an hour, and you knew next year you'd be at $12.96 an hour, and you would retire at $16 an hour, whatever it was. But you'd had great benefits and you'd have a pension forever because the pay scale was low enough that it was sustainable. Now the pay scale is they're at $35 an hour, and they're expecting to go in the drop program and retire at $37 an hour for the rest of their life. And now the post office is going, man, we're $15 billion in debt every quarter.
Is someone who's making $35 an hour and they've been in somewhere for 10 to 15 years, is that an unreasonable salary?
I don't think picking a particular number and then saying how many years they're in it is unreasonable. My point is this: the government employees, the people that work for government municipalities, need to realize just because Joe taxpayer is paying your salary, it's not necessarily unlimited for the rest of your life. And when you guys have to lower your some of your health care benefits or start chipping in, or paying for your own gas,
these are all things.
Those are all things that are coming now.
That we, as our local union, decided that that's what we needed to do, so everybody kept their job.
Well, then that's
because in 2009,
yeah,
I was there. We were going to lay off 3 to 6 guys.
Right.
I was number 4. I had my application. I had it all filled out, ready to fax to Wackenhut, and I was going to go to Iraq and be a firefighter in Iraq, a government contractor.
Sure.
They laid off 3. We were able to get the SAFER grant. We brought the 3 guys back after 8-9 months. We also took really big pay cuts. We on top of our pay cuts, Rick Scott said every person that's in FRS, Florida Retirement System, will put in 3%
Oh my God!
out of their paycheck.
Are you kidding?
Which I don't have a problem
You
with.
have a retirement?
Yes, I do.
Oh my God! And a salary.
And a salary.
Jesus.
Jesus, crazy.
You don't see that in the private sector. We just have to grin and bear it and just.
You have a 401k, so I mean.
I don't. I have a small business. I can't afford a 401k. That's not free. I have to pay for that. I don't have the money for it. I got to pay for employees. So I'm hoping one day we can afford it. But
Well, I assume at some point you turn your business over to your kids, or you turn around and sell it, and that's your retirement.
I'm hoping to sell it. But what does that do for my employees? That they
if
they
you
stay
sell
around
it, and maybe you sell it to one of your guys.
You never know.
Maybe
You never know.
maybe there's an 18-year-old kid that works here that someday
you never know.
that he says, you know what, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy this
Right.
company from JD.
Well, I tell you what.
And that's your retirement.
You know,
and you're investing in your retirement by making this business a good thing.
You guys are a odd. I want to say an oddball department.
But I don't believe we are.
Well,
I think that
I think by and large, there was a lot of departments that they just allowed people to get laid off. There were some departments that just the union brotherhood in parentheses said, no, I don't want to do a 10% pay cut. Just lay off the new guys. And they did. There were some, because it's mob rule.
Yeah.
Mob rule is union. Okay, whoever the majority votes.
I've heard of that. I haven't personally heard it myself, but I've heard people say, hey, I heard so and so say, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah,
But,
and that's up to them.
but
That's
then-
up to
and
their
then-
mob.
and then it goes to that mob, and
Yeah.
that mob votes, and the majority wins.
It's true.
It's the same thing as we have candidate A and candidate B for president, and the mob wins.
Well, we actually have a constitutional republic. It's not a democracy. Democracy is
Well,
mob rule.
you know what I'm saying. When we go to a vote, and the vote is 51% wins.
Sure. Yeah, that's
So
true.
wouldn't that be considered a mob? The mob rules.
Well, it's different. You got a democracy or constitutional republic. It is two different things because we send representatives, and the representatives are they vote based on what their constituents supposedly sent them there for.
And so does the union. The union, you have your union delegates,
Right, your reps,
That
yeah.
union reps, and they report, at district level, and then at a state level, and then at a region level, and then all of a sudden you have a big conference,
Right. Big party. On the taxpayers. Woo.
No. I mean, that's all. I mean, that's my salary going to that, and I don't have a problem with that.
Wait. What's your salary paid from?
ad valorem taxes?
Okay, taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then maybe not mine because I don't live in your neck of the woods where you work. But that one thing you mentioned earlier. You got the SAFER grant.
Yep.
My company wasn't eligible for SAFER grant. I couldn't get a SAFER grant for my company.
Mm-hmm.
We just, the folks that helped me start my business, they laid off 75 employees. They didn't have a SAFER grant because they couldn't just arbitrarily just go get taxes from people and borrow money from Obama, which is my tax money.
Yeah, mine too.
I couldn't borrow money from my own company, but the public unions could borrow money because they vote Democrat. I mean, that helps. He's like, here, yeah, you guys, I'm going to help you guys out. Just keep voting for us.
Well, the SAFER grant, when it was started and it wasn't changed, and it was Obama that changed it. And when everything started to fall apart, the unions went to George W. Bush and said, hey, can we change the parameters of the SAFER grant? Because the SAFER grant originally was formed that growth was going so fast. Everything was growing so fast.
We didn't have a good economy under Bush.
We did. And
up until the Democrats took control of the House and Senate.
Correct.
In 2006.
Yep. And they messed everything up.
No, they didn't. I would like to be able to say they did. But people do like to blame everything on George Bush, but they fail to realize that the economy took a crap under the control of the Democrat House and Senate, who's, the House is the one that writes the budget and the Senate's the one that votes it in and brings up the laws. But people forget that. They just want to, they continue to blame George Bush. But we know he did add a lot to the deficit. Absolutely, but
he did not add as much as Obama, and I will admit that, and I did.
But Obama did it trying to save everybody.
I've admitted it more than once,
right?
That I did vote for him, and I am not happy. I am not happy. I am part of that group that said, I understand.
Are you embarrassed?
No, I'm not embarrassed.
You're not embarrassed?
I'm not embarrassed.
Here, use this gun. Shoot yourself in the head. That's what I would do. That's what I brought it in for.
No, I'm not embarrassed. What I voted for him was because I wanted
Hope and change? You want to hope and change?
Yeah, I wanted something different. I wanted something different for our country. Did I want this? No. Did I believe that, go into someone's house at 4 a.m. because they stubbed their toe or they twisted their ankle 3 weeks ago and now it's swollen and there's 8 people and 4 different cars in the driveway and nobody can drive this person to the hospital, but they're going to go in a county ambulance.
Right.
And that person is not going to pay that bill.
True.
You and I know that person is not going to pay that bill.
Okay.
So
what was the answer? What fixed that?
This didn't, but the idea in my mind was to push people just like car insurance.
Oh, you're saying for Obamacare? For that free insurance?
Not free insurance.
No, he sold it as free insurance. It's free health care. He didn't even say insurance.
Well,
it turned out to be free for people that already had it free.
Okay, the concept was in my mind when I voted him because the law wasn't written and none of it was written. And you know what? I've never read the 7,000 or 20,000 pages. Okay, I don't have that time to sit there and read all that stuff. Okay,
apparently neither did the congressman.
None of them did, and not happy with that either. But the concept of think about that when car insurance, you didn't need it at one point. It wasn't required, but it was hey, if you have insurance, that's great. If something happens to your car's covered. But if you don't have it, well, now all of a sudden people are buying cars, they're financing them, they have insurance. Insurance is more and more readily available. Okay, now all of a sudden they say you have to have this minimum standard of insurance,
which turns out to be this much insurance. You talking about for health care?
Yes, but back then, let's stick on the auto insurance.
Okay,
we're
still on auto. PIP. It was PIP and
PIP. Okay, but you had to have that minimum.
Well, minimum's good,
and that's what I'm saying.
But Obamacare's not minimum,
and I agree.
It requires you to get maternity coverage.
I need it.
Okay.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, you're about to come. It's almost due.
But I think the concept was correct to force the people who could afford insurance to get insurance.
But they gave them an out with a first year $95 fine. But that doesn't even apply to the people that already didn't pay because they can't afford it. That's the poor people.
I agree.
So they gave free insurance to people that already get it for free. Because they go to the hospital. Okay, hospital doesn't charge them. You and I end up paying for it with higher hospital rates later.
Okay, rather than just let's appeal it and go back to the old system. We know the old system was broke. This system is not correct. How about put something in place to replace this? How about if we come up with an idea? How about if we sit down and say, okay, rather than go, we're going to appeal this and not have anything. We're going back to the broken system we already had.
But you guys, the problem is you guys don't realize the people that voted for this, who thought this was a good idea, it was all a big scam. It was a big scam. What do you mean by who? By the Democrats, by Ezekiel Emanuel.
Who's making money on this?
Well, insurance companies will if they stay in business. But after we're going to come to break here in just a few moments. But when we get back from break, I've got a great quote from the guy, the author of Obamacare, who happens to be related to Rahm Emanuel, former chief of staff of Barack Obama, now the Chicago mayor. All the Chicago thug politics. Let's bring all that to Washington. But the plan was not to help people. It was to throw out some legislation that feels good to get the idiots, the less informed, to vote for them and to vote Democrat to get more of them in power so they could pass sweeping changes. Now they've got them. Now they realize, man, we didn't know how this thing works. We have to. Here's what they do. We have to get the young people.
I have never disagreed with you on these points you're bringing up. I've never disagreed with you.
That's my point, though, is that here they go. They got to get young people to sign up for it, but they allow young people to stay on their parents' insurance.
I'm Brian the Live.
I know.
I'm Brian the Live, and you're JD, the conservative Republican.
That's me.
And we agree on this. Okay, so now let's take the next step.
I'll tell you. Well, I'll tell you the next step.
When we come back from break, you tell me what we have to do to fix it. Not to go back to the old, but to fix it and make it correct. That's what we need to do.
All right. Well, when we get back, we'll go over that stuff. Ledge Radio Show. Welcome back to Ledge Radio Show. The phone number to call in is 239-689-8674. You can send me an email, jd@theledgeradioshow.com. And back in studio with us is Brian the Lib from Naples. Brian, thanks for joining us today, my friend.
How's it going?
Excellent.
I actually think it was really ironic that you played Little Man. God bless the little man.
Mm-hmm.
Not the big corporate guy.
Right.
The little guy.
Well, who do you think? Here's that's what's crazy. Okay, now I'm a small business, but I am smart enough to recognize that bigger business gives jobs to more people. And as you have larger corporations, you have more chances for people to move up. Mm-hmm. Whereas at my small business, which as everybody says is the backbone, which it is, there's only a few positions here. You can only get so far into this small business.
Yeah.
But at a big business, you've got multiple levels of management you can get to, different divisions, sales managers, regional VPs. There's all types of different ways to make more money, get a better paying job at big corporations that provide, 1 million jobs, 500,000 jobs, 200 jobs, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The definition of small business is less than 50 jobs. 50 jobs or less is small business. Anything over 50 jobs is supposed to be a big business. So, that's the difference. And it sounds the media has got you hooked so that you agree with and then demonize big business.
I don't demonize, but I
That's
shop.
what it sounded like.
No, I just thought it's ironic.
Well, first of all, I like country music.
I do too.
And secondly, the little man is somebody we need to look out for. But at the same time, if someone chooses to start a little man's business, okay, like me, but am I going to be demonized for starting out small and eventually becoming a big business?
I think between me and you, we joke back and forth. But for our listeners, but for our listeners, I will say on record, I don't feel that I'm a lib. Well, I don't. I feel like I am. We've had this conversation off the air, on the phone, in person. I am socially liberal, fiscally conservative.
Now that's like a Catholic Democrat. Okay, people that are Catholic say they're Democrat. Oh yeah. Well, I didn't realize Catholics were for abortion.
Maybe I fall more to the libertarian stance, where leave me alone and you do your own thing.
I got you, and I can appreciate that. But there are a large group out there of uninformed folks who watch MSNBC. There's only about 300,000 listeners, so luckily we don't have that many that are that uninformed, because that's the group that they're targeting is 300,000 people, because that's their typical listening block or viewing block. But people that watch those types of news channels, that get their news from MSLSD and CNN, ABC, the All Barack channel, those folks.
But you have to watch all of them. You can't just go, I'm going to watch Fox. I'm going to read the Drudge or whatever it is.
The thing is, you think Drudge is a conservative site, and it may be, but
it's everything.
They pull news articles from Huffington Post. That's as far left as you can get. They pull sites from MSNBC.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't go to one source and think you're going to get a fair and unbalanced.
But the people that watch MSNBC will not go to Fox because they think Fox is the Antichrist.
Correct.
And
the people who won't watch MSNBC because they think they're going to be polluted by some liberal,
indoctrination.
Yes.
Of socialism. Join the Occupy movement, because that's the best thing since sliced bread. Demonize big business who gives jobs.
Yeah, I have my iPhone. I have my OtterBox.
Oh man,
I have my guns at home.
Where did you get those? You get those from a big business?
Yes, from Verizon.
Holy cow!
Hopefully, Verizon will give me some kind of discount for. How many times can I say Verizon on the show here?
And drink a Niagara water in the front of the camera. An Arizona iced tea.
Arnold Palmer light, half and half.
At least it's not a strawberry with Skittles. We don't be making any kind of drugs.
Now I think that George Zimmerman had every right. He had every right.
We're not going to go off on George Zimmerman here, are we?
Well, no, I think George Zimmerman did the right thing.
I'm with you. I think he's turned out a little nutty recently, but I think it's probably
from all
the media.
Completely off the wall.
But if you were in fear for your life, you can't show your face. You got to live with your relatives because your wife and your lawyers drained every bit of money you had.
Yep.
You might be a little crazy too at this point.
Yeah,
thinking, man,
a little bit stressed out.
Here I got beat up by a teenager, had to defend myself and shot him,
and killed him,
and killed the kid. I now got to live with that, which I'm not proud of because I killed a kid, even though I knew he was trying to kill me. But now I got his relatives and every
Beat his
black
head-
person in America against me.
Yeah, beating his head on a concrete surface, broke his nose,
Yeah.
cut his head open. I mean, you can downplay that all you want, and we can say, you know,
Should he have done this? Should he have gone back there?
The Skittles, the drink he was drinking, and I can't remember. There's a cough syrup or something that they take with it, and
It's called lean. The drug is called lean when they're done.
Yeah, and it makes them crazy.
Yeah.
And this kid was known to be doing it, and
Right.
none of that came out.
He had
in the,
Facebook messages and text that talked about he's going to go get lean tonight, and he was getting his little repertoire of all of his little drug pieces to put together so he could get high. Who knows if he was high? I don't know, but
even if he was, say he smoked a joint.
he should have just been hungry.
Yeah, exactly. So if he was just high and he only did a little weed here and there, he's coming back.
Little
He's
whizzle.
got his little hoodie on, and he's walking back in the rain. What does weed do to you? It makes you hungry, and it makes your mouth dry. So why didn't he open that drink? Why didn't he open the Skittles?
Well, he didn't want the rain to get to him. Remember, it was raining.
Oh, well, it wasn't raining that hard. It was drizzling.
Okay.
You know? So,
Well, you know,
and let me ask you this. I don't care what neighborhood you're in. I live in a gated community.
Did you say a
And-
gay community?
A gated.
Oh, okay.
A gated
I
community.
got you. Well, you said you were socially liberal. I thought it was
I do,
okay.
and maybe I do.
There's
have
nothing
some-
wrong with that.
Maybe no, there's not. Maybe I have some gay
Just
neighbors.
don't push it
and-
on me.
No. I don't want nothing to do with that.
Threw you off, didn't it?
You did. You got
picturing me naked,
You
weren't
got
you?
me. Oh, that's even worse. No. I'm gonna walk out of the studio right now.
Billy's going to stop you at the door.
I
You'll be
live
naked.
I live in a gated community.
A gay community?
A gated
Okay,
community.
gotcha.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I live in a gated community, and I'm walking around, and it's a little bit drizzling. It's dark at night, and we don't.
telling me a story? Can you
No,
whisper?
I'm just saying.
No.
I'm painting a picture.
Gotcha. Are you the prosecution or the
No.
defense?
I'm a little bit of both because
Okay.
I don't feel this guy did anything wrong.
I'm with you.
He's in his neighborhood. There's been a bunch of break-ins. Cars are being broken into. Homes are being broken into. This guy's fed up. He's
Been elected as the neighborhood watch.
Okay, and he has a concealed weapons permit,
Right.
and he's allowed.
If I'm walking around in the dark, I'm going to have my gun. I
Yeah.
got my gun in the studio and the lights on.
yeah,
You know?
mine's in the car.
See? I'll shoot her way out.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
So,
So you're in the dark. You come up to some kid. Hey, what are you doing? Why didn't this kid just turn around and say, "Hey, I'm new to the neighborhood. I'm going to my uncle's house."
yeah, or my dad's or wherever he was going.
You know.
Instead,
Instead,
something else happens.
something snaps in this kid's head, and he attacks this guy.
And the neighbors see it. They all witness it, and they tell you that in court, that they saw the guy with the hoodie on top and saw the little guy getting his face bashed in and the back of his head beat in.
Hammer fisting.
Yeah, raining blows down from above.
MMA style.
Yeah, MMA
I
style.
mean, we've all watched those. I
What
mean,
a pussy. God, the guy should...
yeah, I can't.
How are you going to be the neighborhood watch guy and you can't even beat up a teenager?
But I mean, there is. I have a guy I work with that is.
Farva?
No.
okay.
This is a different guy. Great guy. But he knows everything about every gun, this and that. He does the carbine challenges and all that stuff. Really great guy. Love working with him. And he described the for that close of a range where he, pulling his hoodie back and swinging up and bringing the gun and and how he actually got that shot off and why it was so close.
Well, the guy's
that
right
he
on
was
top of you.
of
Of
him.
course it's going to be
Yeah,
close.
it was point blank. I mean, he's in fear for his life.
Yeah.
Someone's punching you, beating your
And
face.
all he can do is get a gun because he can't get the guy off of him.
Yeah.
He's thinking he's about to be choked to death or beat to death. Got to do something.
I personally have experience when I was 18, 19 years old where I was jumped. We were all, in high school, everybody went out and...
Was that when Militant Paul body slammed you in the yard?
And Militant Paul never...
Oh, okay.
But I got jumped out at Doobie Lake in Cape Coral.
Doobie Lake.
Doobie Lake.
That's where you would be too.
And I got jumped and I got hit and I didn't know it was coming. And I was literally beaten down.
Yeah.
And I was scared. And if I had a gun, I would have pulled it.
Sure.
And luckily there was a guy there that was able, because all his friends stood and watched as I was being beaten. And there was nothing I could do. It was me and one other guy.
Did you get choke slammed?
No, I did not get choke slammed. Farva did. Farva did.
Oh,
But
man.
I mean, when you're in fear for your life at that point, I want that. As liberal as a lot of my friends and sometimes my coworkers try to say.
Even your coworkers.
Sometimes they're like, "Oh my God, Brian, you're liberal." But
so there's Republicans that are working for the fire department down there.
There's everybody working there.
Holy cow!
There's everybody. It's everybody.
I understand.
So and that's where I feel like I'm not liberal. I feel I'm more libertarian because here's the great thing is that we've been friends for 15 years.
Probably like 98, 99.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So almost 14, 15 years. Our families know each other. We don't hang out as much as we used to since our career paths have kind of
careers, kids, everything else.
Yeah, everything is changed. But I've always felt like we could go back and forth. At the end of the day, I would buy you a beer and you would buy me a beer and shake hands. And if I called you and said, JD, I need your help, you would be there.
As long as it's not like midnight and you're stuck in the mud in Lehigh or something.
Yeah.
Because then I'll be like, I'll be there in the morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Just call me back in the morning.
Catch some Z's.
Yeah.
I'll get you in the morning.
Yeah.
And I know I would do the same for you. If you called me and said, "Hey, I'm stuck here. Joy needs this. Can you run that?" Yeah, I got you. I mean, I look at all my friends that way.
Oh, sure.
My family, everything.
And I think that there's even the extreme fringe of different groups. And I consider myself, a pretty far right fringe person, but when it comes down to friends, that's different. I mean, you got your friends. I got friends that are, left, they're right, they're middle, whatever. As far as politics go, but politics are politics. Somebody needs help, sure, we're going to go help them. Mm-hmm. But if they need help, if they're going to, go vote one way, I'm going to try to tell them another way to vote if they're voting a way that I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. Because for me, I feel like that when I go to vote, I'm trying to vote based on what the Constitution says. I'm kind of like the old school guy. Okay, that's the way I see it. Like I would consider myself to, and a lot of libertarians are this way. Constitutionalists, they want to, as strict adherence to the Constitution as possible. It's kind of like the old school, some of the old school churches, where they're strict adherence to the old, the Old Testament and the Bible.
Yeah,
I'm talking old, like eye for an eye. It's real strict, rigid. Before Jesus came, that kind of thing. That's the way I guess I would see myself, because there weren't that many laws back then. When the Constitution was passed, you had 10 items on the Bill of Rights, and then some amendments came. More amendments were piled on throughout the years to fix this or that. But we got to go on. But the thing is, I just wish that other people that are at voting age would be looking out for the health of the country and the longevity of the country, because we are still a very new country. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of continents and countries that have been around a lot longer than we have and have had multiple civil wars, multiple changes of different kings and queens, and they've been taken over by this group and that group. We've not had to deal with that. We had one civil war, and we're at a point now where it's not a civil war over slavery or North versus South. It's getting close to civil war, for freedom versus socialism or Marxism. I mean, because there's a lot of us on the far right are fearful that we're losing the country that our founders started. People, I'm very proud of our founders, proud of what they did and how they did it.
But there's a lot of people that you would consider to be on the left that have those same prideful thoughts about this country.
Yeah, but how do they vote the way they do and think that that's good for the country when you can literally look in history, look at other countries that have voted the way they're going, voting for this socialist agenda, and see how it screwed that country. Screwed it. No country on this planet has ever had freedom and lost it, never gained it back. If they were free and they became socialist, they stayed socialist.
What freedoms? I've asked you this many times.
Well,
what freedoms have you lost in the last 6 years?
The freedom to not buy health insurance if I choose. That's one.
How is that a freedom? That's something
I didn't have to buy it. I'm being mandated. This is the first time in the history of America that a human being is being required to purchase a product for being alive. Period.
Okay. And I will go back to my same argument that I made earlier and saying at one point you weren't required to have auto insurance.
But an automobile is a luxury. Breathing is not.
Well,
I'm required because I breathe.
So
there's a big difference.
Okay, so
you can choose not to have a car. I got a guy that works for me that doesn't own a car. He doesn't have to buy car insurance.
And how easy is his life?
It's difficult, but he put himself
there.
That's.
I mean, you know.
But there's people up in New York that don't own cars. They take taxis.
And you know what? Back then there was horse and carriages, and you know, people didn't go but a couple miles away from their home. People didn't move towns away. They didn't go. Okay. We're going to go 2-3 counties away. I believe it's the same concept. That
you don't see the difference though between this being the only thing ever in the history of this country you were mandated to purchase simply because you were breathing.
Because you were breathing? No.
Every breathing being is required to have this health insurance required by the government for the first time in American history.
I don't see a problem with it. I think people should pay for it. I think they should pay a reasonable price for it. I want to ask, why is it that the insurance companies are making money hand over fist?
You know, let's get into that. We're going to. Let me take a call. I've got your buddy Militant Paul on the line. Militant Paul, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Brian the Lib.
Hey, Paul.
What's up, guys?
Hey, not much, man.
Happy birthday to your boy.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so we were kind of got around the subject, but I guess we're back on it now. We were on unions earlier, Obamacare now. It kind of goes hand in hand sometimes. But what's your take on this spin there, buddy?
Well, I mean,
and how many beers deep are you?
So what?
How many beers deep are you?
I'm on my third or fourth.
Third or fourth? Yeah. 6-pack?
Because as you know, this is my last night at home. I'm splitting up with my girlfriend of 8 years, so it's not my last night at home.
I'm sorry to hear that, Paul.
Hey, no biggie, man. Life goes on.
Hey, can you give Brian her number?
Easy come, easy go.
Yeah, that's right.
That used to be the name of your truck, right? Easy come, easy go.
Yeah, I still got the tag. It's not on my truck yet. Anyway, getting back to unions.
Okay.
I don't know how else to explain this other than that other than maybe sending them over to China, there's absolutely no use for them. Let's look at the local news lately. Let's look at the elementary teachers that were all caught in the bathroom with heroin products, 6 of them, all layered up, all being protected by the union, but with heroin, in the bathroom.
I agree. Fire them, Paul. You have a union guy here saying fire them.
But they won't. The union won't let them.
That's not the case.
What do you mean the union won't let them?
Their union contract doesn't allow for it.
Okay,
they're fighting for them.
And you know what? The union's doing their job, and I understand. I personally think that if they're found guilty of that felony, because heroin is a felony.
Well, you know what? If they weren't in the union, they wouldn't be getting protected right now. They would already been fired, and the story wouldn't be a story.
I'm gonna tell you.
But because they're part of a union, the union is protecting their job, which is not fair to the rest of us hardworking Americans that aren't part of a union, paying dues into an organization that supports the Democrat side of politics. 99% of the time.
Yeah, I am not disputing that.
That are accused of that are convicted of sexual acts, sexual abuse in Michigan. The list goes on and on. They're all
fix our legal system. Fix the legal system so they can shuffle these stupid cases and get them through the court system. I don't disagree with you in the fact that these people should be fired.
Let's look at cops and firefighters that have a right to redact their pictures when they're arrested for heinous crimes. That's not fair.
You have the same right if you're a felon. After a certain number of years, you can redact.
Firefighters and cops have a special privilege where they're allowed to withhold their photograph after they've been arrested, and they're all part of unions.
I'm not aware. I'm not aware of that. So I'm.
Is that a union rule, Paul, or is that something?
I don't know. I can look into it. Well, what I'm all about is equal work for equal pay.
Well, that's
I'm not about
socialism.
Paying 5 guys $37 an hour to do the identical job, but only one of them can do it proficiently, and the other 4 are lazy asses. Unions are no longer needed. We have.
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what union guys you're talking about that are making $37 an hour.
Guy?
Huh?
Pick one.
Well,
Pick one. I'll take
what he's saying is
photographs and send 'em in to
what
you.
he's saying is that tenure, okay, the term tenure that is mostly associated with teachers, but can be associated with any union group. You're not paid based on how good you do your job. You're based on longevity. The longer you're there, the more you get paid. Doesn't matter if you work hard or you work little, you continue to get paid. They cannot get rid of you. You can
what
be
about
the
all
worst
union, What about all the
employee.
union workers that are Republican or Libertarian or Conservative, and their dues are going to support Democratic, cronies, for Congress,
Cronies?
for President, for Senate?
Well, you know,
It's not fair.
I find it so bizarre that because someone supports something that's not you, that they're a crony.
No.
What does the word
It's
crony
not
mean?
fair.
I don't know.
Okay, let's flip the coin here. Let's say that everybody in the union was Democrat and all their dues went to support Republican candidates. I'm sure you guys would be throwing a hissy fit and demanding your money back.
I'm sure the union members would probably do that. And you know what? And yeah, you're right.
Well, the thing about tenure, though, let's answer
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Okay, so you've got guys that are not performing their job very well at
They're
all,
protected by the union.
and they're
It's a small percentage.
Have you ever wait? Do you remember the old saying? You're on the street and you drive by a corner and you see those are county workers because you got one guy working.
It's a county job, and
one guy working, and
there's
four guys
and
watching.
Yep.
That's union. That's the public employees union. One guy does the work, the rest watch. They all get paid, and usually the guys watching get paid the most. But that won't work in a private company because that company couldn't survive because they don't have an endless resource of taxes to suck from the people.
Well, it's already proven it doesn't work, Jeremy, because all the jobs are going out of the country because we can't be competitive with other nations.
They're
anymore.
going out of the
Because
country.
unions
All the jobs are
demanding
going out of the
back.
country.
Well, that's what the Democrats are always complaining about. They always say, the Republicans send all the jobs out of the country. They send them all to China. Well, yeah, if we can't compete here, if I need to sell a widget to make so much profit, but I can't do it here because the unions in the whatever state I start my company in, jack the prices of the wages up so high that I can't be competitive with other companies in China.
Correct.
They're selling a similar product. I go, you know what? Screw it. I'll send my widgets to China. Let them make them. That way, at least I can make profit because I'm in business to make money for me. I'm not in business to support 200 families. That just happens to be an offshoot of my business. So that's what he's saying.
And that's your choice. That's your choice as a small business or a corporation. You're allowed to do that. At one point, the Jeremy or any business owner was proud to be American.
I'm still proud to be an American.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So let's turn the page back a few years ago when Iran had purchased the centrifuges for their nuclear program. Where did they get them from? GE, an American company.
Yeah, an Obama supporting American company. Jeffrey
GE an
Emmett.
American company all you want. GE is
They're an international company, and they're doing business in the capitalistic way. They're making money.
How is it that
they're making money however they can?
How could they sell to Iran when Iran had sanctions that they couldn't purchase?
They sold
products? They sold some other country probably.
GE has different subdivisions. Just like look back when Hurricane Charlie came through, and we had State Farm, and State Farm shut down Florida.
I still have State Farm. What are you talking about?
But they stopped writing it, and they
stopped writing new policies.
They stopped writing
because they got their asses kicked.
Exactly, but State Farm.
But they were one of the only ones that didn't go out of business. They paid their claims.
Yeah. All these other insurance companies, what did they do? They subdivide. There's State Farm of Florida, State Farm of Georgia, State Farm. You know what I'm saying? So State Farm, the big umbrella, is protected. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be Allstate or whatever,
It's just smart business.
Billy Bob's insurance company.
Here's the thing: it all comes down to it comes down to personal responsibility. If you want to live, if you choose to live in a state that gets ravaged by hurricanes, you should be held responsible when a hurricane destroys your home. Why is it an insurance company? I mean, it's business for them.
Yeah, but you pay that insurance company.
You do
year over year.
You do.
I've been here 27 years, and I've
I've never had a claim for a hurricane.
Yeah.
But
Hey, JD, did you bring up the other oxymoron that's going on? It kind of goes along with unions and liberals.
Well, hey, Milton
you know,
Paul. Milton Paul, are you able to hold on the line because we're coming up on a hard break at the top of the hour? Can you hold or go do cake and come back in 5 minutes?
Yeah, I can call back. You give me a few minutes, I'll call back in.
Okay, we'll continue the discussion, but we're getting ready to go up against a hard break, top of the hour. When we get back, we'll see if Milton Paul can join us for some more interesting commentary. I think we'd have some more to discuss on, sounds like unions, sending jobs overseas, or whatever. See, that's what I was telling you, Brian. You can prepare all you want for a radio show and have 27 topics, but you get down to it and you end up with like 3 to talk about.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ledge Radio Show. We'll be back after this break.
Okay.
Specs on the end line for the rotary girder. I'm retarded.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
And now, back to the Ledge Radio Show.
Welcome to the second hour of the Ledge Radio Show. I am your host, JD, and I'm joined by special guest host, Liberal Brian from Naples. Phone lines are open, 239-689-8674, or for the viewers around the world watching live streaming video on the HD Ledge Cam, 239-689-8674. And Brian, before we went to break, I know we had Milton Paul on, and he had to step away for a moment with the break at his son's birthday party, so God bless him for that. But, I want to try to regroup, because earlier on in our conversation, we were talking a little bit about Obamacare, some of the issues that have spawned because of that, and your last comment to me before we went to break a couple of breaks ago was, okay, then how do we fix it? Instead of just a full repeal like the Republicans want, what's a different answer to fix it?
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you the reason why me and most Republicans say that they're not for it, they want to repeal it, because we realize it was a sham from the beginning. This was never designed to help people. It made people that were uninformed believe that, so they would vote for it, or so they would be for it to give him the approval to have remember Obama was a community organizer. He needed people's support, kind of like a mob, like a union rule. If he had support from the people, he could push his way into local politics in Chicago, get Chicago to give free crap to the blacks in this community, or whatever he was doing for the gays over here. That's what he's used to doing. So that's what he's done here. He had to get support of the people to make the Democrats who voted for this, solely Democrats, only Democrats voted for it, to make them feel comfortable enough, like, hey, we can vote for this. We won't lose our jobs in the Senate or in the House. We'll vote for this, and everything will be good. Everything will work great, even though we haven't read the bill. Well, turned out there happened to be like 90% of it was way too hard to implement, required, like you and I agreed on earlier, required young people without ailments to sign up for it, because if you're young and you don't have an ailment, you don't get sick very often, you're not going to go to the doctor. When you don't go to the doctor, it's kind of like when you live in a state like Florida and you never get a hurricane, but you've paid for insurance your whole life. The insurance company has a huge bankroll that they could essentially use to pay for a hurricane when it comes.
Yep.
Well, that's what they're hoping for here. Sign up a bunch of young people, so they pay into the system for 3 or 4, 10 years, whatever it is. So they got this big bankroll to help pay for the elderly that are going to sign up for their side of the care, because they're going to be in the doctor a lot. We all know older folks are in the doctor a lot. Younger folks are not.
But the older folks don't need health insurance. They have Medicare.
What do you think this is doing? This is taking money out of Medicare. It took $500 billion out of Medicare to help finance Obamacare.
I don't know if that's where they got that money from. I'd never seen a spreadsheet. I mean,
no one else has either.
Well, then how do you know that that's where the money came from?
Well,
because it was on the internet?
No,
so it must be true.
Because the senators and congressmen brought up the spreadsheet.
Oh,
Said here's where it comes from.
They had a cardboard pie chart that said this is where it came from.
They had to bring big signs to show people that are less informed because they need pictures, stick figures, so they can figure out what they're doing. No, my point is, so we know that older people go, and maybe not over 65, okay, because they have their Medicaid or have Medicare, whatever. But people that are more apt to be in the hospital, people over 30. In the workforce, us, we're in the hospital. You know, I got a appendix. My brother has a gallbladder thing. Those are $20,000 surgeries. When it's all said and done, it's $20,000, $30,000. Well, younger folks typically don't have that. Well, but the bad thing is, one of the laws that they stuck in with this law which was a feel-good legislation to get the younger people to vote Democrat, was to say, hey, now you lazy people that are still living at home, you can stay on your parents' insurance till you're 26. Just vote for us. Well, then they went, oh, crap. Why aren't they signing up? Oh, it's because they're all staying on their parents' insurance.
But so they're not signing up, but they have insurance. That's the point. They're able to.
But Obamacare can't function because they needed them to pay for it. It won't function because it doesn't have the funds. Because they screwed themselves by trying to get votes.
But see that and in my mind, as crazy as it sounds, I do have a mind.
I know you do.
It's the point of having that person have insurance so they don't show up to the hospital. So when you do show up, when your child cuts their hand and has to go to the emergency room, they're charged a reasonable price because everybody going there has insurance or they pay their bill.
That would be a good idea, except have you seen the premiums lately? So now to get to the hospital, you got to pay your premium so you can have your Blue Cross. And it went up by 60% to some people. And so we can all have this free health coverage? So we can give free health coverage to the people that already had it for free?
Insurance companies are charging these prices.
I would too. If I was told you now have to provide maternity coverage for a 30-year-old male, I'd go, well, if I have to give them that, I guess I got to make up the difference.
You got to make up you got to make up the difference?
I got to charge more.
For maternity coverage for a man, what planet are we living on where men get pregnant?
Wait
a second. This is the insurance company. They have an opportunity to make extra money because they can charge for that maternity coverage for that male or that woman who has gone through menopause where it's physically impossible.
That's my point. Does that make any sense?
Okay, but okay.
Does it make any sense that we've now added 10 components to coverage you have to purchase, but you don't need it, but you have to now pay for it? That's my point.
I don't need it. Why do I have to pay for it? I agree.
I don't know. But you do because that's the law.
So change that little portion. Or how about the insurance company go, you know what? JD's not getting pregnant. We're going to check this little box here and says he has maternity coverage, but we're not going to charge him for it because he's a male. Where it automatically zeroes itself out. But the insurance company said, you know what? There's a problem with this law. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to make some money on it right now because eventually it will be changed.
Oh,
because,
yes.
It will be changed.
And you know why it will be changed? Because it's not sustainable.
Exactly, it's not sustainable. But in the meantime, the insurance companies go.
Wait, why are they in business?
No, let me finish.
Why are they in business?
To make money.
To make money. But you demonize the fact that they want to make money.
I'm not demonizing anything.
You're showing them as devils over here. You know, let's make some money.
Well, that's what they're doing. They're charging for something that they're never going to pay out.
But because they were told to. They were told to offer the coverage. No, not offer, to mandate the coverage.
Jeremy, you should jump off a bridge.
Okay.
But you should jump off a bridge.
I don't want. They didn't say should.
You know what?
They didn't say should.
Okay, you know what?
You have to.
I'm gonna mandate, Jeremy. You have to jump off a bridge.
That's the law. If I don't, I get fined.
Are you going to jump off the bridge or are you going to take the fine?
Well, me personally, I'm going to take the fine because I'm a constitutionalist and I say it's unconstitutional.
Okay.
And I'll fight to the death until I prove my point.
Okay, so why doesn't the insurance companies go, hey, listen, this is
really stupid.
This is really stupid.
They did.
And how about the Congress? How about the Senate? You know, how long has this been in this
The House has passed 100 bills. But the Harry Reid-led Senate won't even take the bill up to allow his Democrats to vote against it or for it.
Because they stick so much junk in every single bill. There's pork on every side of the aisle, whether it's right or left. This is what I'm screaming about in my head. This is retarded. We know that A is wrong with this Obamacare. Okay, so present a bill. You know what? This was never meant to be in here. This is a typo or whatever it is.
Was it?
I don't know. You tell me. I didn't write it.
Here's the way
I'm giving your opening to your writing of the Obamacare.
Here's the way it works. It's the government. They have to pick one thing that works for everybody. So they make everybody have to have this coverage because they can't tailor it to 320 million Americans.
I know, but they can say
but
male.
Private companies can.
Yeah, but they can say male or female.
You think they could have?
Yeah,
it's the government that proves to you they don't know what the hell they're doing.
But it's both sides. It's not.
No, only one side wrote it.
Only one side wrote it.
Ezekiel Emanuel wrote it. Rahm Emanuel's brother.
Okay, so how about if the Republicans come up and say, we're going to propose this bill, and this is the only thing we're going to propose in there, because this is absolutely insane.
They've made so many bills, but they have to get the Senate to vote on it. They won't vote on it.
And I just explained to you why, because they pack so much different junk in there. Rather than just say, okay, we're going to propose a bill for to take...
They call it a clean bill.
A clean bill, okay.
Yeah, we've proposed many clean bills.
And I'm sure they have.
In this House, and the Senate says no.
Yeah.
They won't do it. They're strong arm. They're used to the union tactic, strong arm. Nope, we're holding the line. And the Republicans are such pussies that keep caving.
If that's the case, that all these Democratic senators have not let this clean bill, not a bill full of pork. If that is the case, and that is a fact,
the Democrats have never not voted on something because it had too much pork.
And so, but the Republicans do the same thing. This is politics. This is what's wrong with our country.
Let's pick up our caller before he goes away, and we'll get on. Hey, Militant Paul, you back, buddy?
I'm here.
Okay, all right. Well, we were just on Obamacare. I don't know if you caught any of it.
Did you save us a piece of cake?
No, we haven't cut the cake yet because he's busy playing that Disney.
That's a good story.
Wii game.
That's a good story. Keep it short.
Yeah, that's right. Short and sweet. Hey, getting back to the liberalism of unions, the spin-off I was trying to get to was the how, you know, as we all know, a lot of gay folks are liberals. I mean, we're not going to sugarcoat it; they are.
Yeah, I agree to that.
Right, and I just want to say that I don't think it's fair that, you know, the gay population can force conservative people to do business with them, like bake cakes or take photographs, but yet
they shouldn't be able to.
It's okay for them to stop servicing us if we don't agree with their sexual orientation. I mean, it's okay for them to stop working for us, like the gay hairdresser for the governor that said, "I'm not going to cut your hair anymore because you don't like gay people."
Are you sitting down, Paul?
Huh?
Are you sitting down?
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you.
Holy cow!
Unbelievable.
Man, you said you're socially liberal. You have to fight for all liberal causes, gay, everything.
Yeah, but I believe they have the right to be gay.
But do I?
And if that's what they want to do,
I also have the right to not serve them?
Correct, you do. And you know what? And that gay person, that gay person who owns a business has the right to say, "I don't want to serve you."
Perfect.
Just like a straight person has the right to say, "I don't want to serve you."
That's what
yeah. Exactly.
That's the way it used to be in our country at one point in time.
Yeah. And it wasn't.
You to turn away somebody. If you know what
I don't have a problem with that. And you know what? If that's what
I mean, that's a business. That comes down to a business decision. You either have your standards that you want to stick to. Maybe it's biblical. Maybe it's just morals. Maybe you're an atheist and you just feel this way. If you choose not to serve someone because they're a certain color, because they have a certain sexual orientation, because they don't know what orientation they are, because now the government's allowed them to have this where you don't have to be a certain sexual orientation, and you want to lose the business, lose that part, that's your business.
Chick-fil-A decided that they were going to make a stance, and
that they're pro-marriage. Oh my God,
they're pro-marriage, yeah. And I don't. I'm not. I'm. Gay people want to get married.
You've got
Paul, how many have you? Paul, you've been through a divorce, correct?
They don't mean pro-marriage. They're pro-man and woman marriage.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Because the owner is a Christian.
Exactly.
Could you ask him?
That's his right.
Could you
That
not
is
think he
his
was going
right.
to say the same thing if you asked him that question?
And you know what? The gay lesbian couple have the right not to go and boycott and not go
Sure.
Chick-fil-A.
Go for
and
it.
I don't remember what company it was, but there was another company that came out and supported the gays, and then the Christians said, "Oh, we're not going to support them." Okay,
Good.
Same thing.
Yeah, good.
It's awesome. That's the way it's supposed to work.
That's capitalism.
That is
And I
capitalism.
agree 110%
Because you're
with
going
that.
to lose that business. You're choosing to stick your morals ahead of your business.
Yep.
If that's the way you want to do it, that's your business, and it is literally your business. Because you know why? Because you built that. Obama
Yep.
didn't build it.
Nope.
Regardless of what he said.
Yep.
You built it.
Yep.
Don't make me draw a red line, JD. Don't
Oh, I
make me
know.
do it.
Yeah, God forbid, because
But,
Russia might get scared.
and that's fine. If Chick-fil-A decides that they don't want to take that money from that gay and lesbian couple because they have some kind of moral compass.
Well,
that,
let's
you know-
get off. Hang on a minute, but you got to clarify. Chick-fil-A never said we're not going to serve gay and lesbian people. The founder of Chick-fil-A was asked a direct question in an interview,
Yep.
and he said, "I support traditional marriage." That's what he said. I support
Right, and so do
traditional
I.
marriage.
The-
That was his line that he said, and that means he's anti-gay.
Yep. And I've never watched Duck Dynasty and
Love it.
A&E or
Love it.
whoever it was. Yeah, I can't say I've never watched it. I've watched it once or twice. Not a fan. I thought it was kind of stupid, but I've watched other shows that are stupid too. So I mean, and other people didn't like them too. But the point is that A&E, that's a private company. They had the right to throw him off the air. And you know what?
That's why I boycotted A&E. I don't watch any A&E at all. Period. Zero.
I
cut
don't
them
either.
off. When they did that to Phil Robertson, I cut them off. I'll never
And
watch
that and
A&E
that
in my
and that is
life.
your
And that's Paul's right.
And that's your right as a consumer. And
Yep.
A&E's
I won't buy any products.
and that's fine. That's awesome. That is capitalism at its best. But it's also A&E's right to say, listen, the same way Chick-fil-A said, hey, we don't support the views of this.
Right.
Not that
No,
we're not.
you're absolutely right. It just needs to be put out there. You're absolutely right. I completely agree with you. It needs to be put out there, though, that if you're throwing Phil Robertson off the air because of his views, that means you've chosen this. If you've chosen this way, then you're anti-Christianity. You're either pro-Christian or you're not. Because there's only one Bible. The Bible says no homosexual acts. None.
Yeah.
Okay? So either you're a Christian or you're not, or you're pro-Christian or not. And if you don't want to be Christian, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can be atheist and be a TV channel if you want, but that's how you're going to be labeled, because it's not that you're upset with Phil's comments because he talked, he gave his true opinion, what he felt.
Gave his true opinion, and you know what?
As a Christian.
And his true opinion is one that I commend for him, even though I don't go to the same church as him, and I don't,
Sure.
I don't read the Bible and this and that. I believe in being a good person.
Sure.
And he is a good person. Why? Because he has these views, and you know what he said? I would never discriminate against somebody. You asked me a direct question. Do I think that act is wrong? Yes, I do. And I agree with him. I think it's vulgar and disgusting. But I have friends that are gay, and that's their decision. That's their.
As long as they do it behind closed doors and they're not doing it in front of you.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to see it, but I also.
But it's also illegal to have sex, regular sex, in front of people. So they, don't. That's the thing. You go to the bottom line to the gay club. They're having sex in front of everybody.
I don't know.
It's like
about
it's legal there. How is it legal to do that out in front? But you go to a regular club and you
have you been to the bottom line?
I've been there. Come on, we've been there together last weekend.
Yeah. If that's the way someone wants to be, then that's their choice.
What's your take on that, Paul?
Well, I mean, I'm just tired of the gay population. It just like if us Christians want to pray at school or whatever, we're not allowed to. So I don't think it's fair that the gay population gets to try to force their agenda down our throats. No pun intended. It's not fair.
Is that what you're calling it now?
Do you feel?
If they want to have some type of legal union where they can share benefits because they're life partners, go right ahead.
But
don't call it marriage. It's not marriage.
Okay. If the Christians, if we're truly American, we have freedom of religion. does the Jewish guy have a right to pray in the morning next to the Christian?
Yeah, we should all have a right to pray.
So the Buddhist can pray in his way in
Sure,
the morning.
sure.
And how about the Muslim?
No, not the Muslim.
The Muslim?
No, not the Muslim.
Okay.
Because they're against America. So I mean, you
Yeah,
can't let that. You can't.
Muslim, yeah,
There's
yeah.
certain people. There's certain countries and certain people that are trying to kill us. They need to be banished from the country and not let in.
I know a few Muslims, and I'm.
And you know what it says? Remember what the
Muslims, Brian? I would buy me a bacon cheeseburger with extra bacon and eat it right in front of them.
And I do, and that's your thing. If you don't want to have that, and you don't want to eat this, and, hey, Paul.
Maybe back ribs.
Hey, Paul. I dated a girl that was a vegetarian, and we went out to eat.
She didn't like meat, but she liked the bone.
But you know what I ate for dinner? A big fat prime rib.
Nice.
You know what? You don't like meat. That's fine. You don't
your
have
problem.
to eat it. You know.
It's your
That's
problem.
and I looked right at her. We're not dating anymore, so maybe this gives you a little my mojo. That I looked right at her and I was like, "There's more meat for me."
There you go.
Well, here's the thing, though. When it comes to the Muslims, and I've evolved on this throughout since 9/11, 2001, 9/11. We've all, if you've been paying attention, learned a lot about Islam and the Muslim people, and there's a large group of them that keep saying that they're good people, that there's good Muslims and there's extreme Muslims.
Bullshit.
But there's also folks like Brigitte Gabriel, who's a Muslim anti-terrorist expert from over there, and she says there is no good Islam and bad Islam. There's only one Islam. It's all extreme.
There's only one Quran.
There's only one Quran that they learn from, and the sheiks, the Muslim sheikhs, they teach them to be covert, lie your way in, tell them you're on their side until the time comes.
That's why they're sweeping across the European nations right now.
Yeah, look at
They
Europe.
can't get into China, they can't get into Russia, and they can't get into Australia. Everything else they're taking over.
Yeah, so that's why I say that's the one religion I would say them and Scientology, get them out of here. I mean, I think Scientology, just to bring it up, I think that's just it has something to do with money, because they bought portions of cities like in was it Clearwater or something in Florida. They own half the city up there. I think it's just a big place to dump for these rich folks to dump their money, like Tom Cruise and what's his name, Travolta, to dump their money in and call it a religious donation, so they don't have to be taxed on their income. I bet you it's going to come out that's one of the issues.
I just had this conversation with a friend the other day. I consider myself a Christian, but I don't necessarily consider myself practicing Christian. I want to believe in God. I want to believe in something. I think it.
You can't be a Christian if you want to believe.
Well, let me finish. I feel that being a good person and doing right by my brother, my neighbor, whoever, following the commandments. We don't follow, even Christians, non-Christians. Even if we
now shout out, vote for Obama.
Twice.
I used to run a lot, and I used to think it was the most beautiful thing that on Sunday mornings that I would run, and I would run up over the Caloosahatchee River and run back. And as I'm running back, the sun's coming down the river. Something bigger is out there. You have to know it.
It wasn't sparked by a little grain of sand that exploded out in the hills.
But maybe it was. I mean, how do we know? We weren't around back then. You go on faith to say that, this is what I believe in. So someone else at a different part or a different neighborhood has a different view than you. Treat them with respect.
Sure.
Let them have that view, and don't.
Unless they're Muslim.
They're Muslim, you eat bacon around them all the time.
But I can always count on you, Militant. I can always count on you.
Unless they're.
Well, if I had a Muslim neighbor, I would just put my bacon out by my window and put the fan on and blow it right toward his house.
He killed my dog, and I don't know why.
I would get a pet pig. I mean, those are on Kid Corals. I would get a potbelly pig, and I'd let him poop in his yard. That would disgrace the guy.
My neighbor doesn't like me, and I don't know why. I'm such a nice person. All I have is a potbelly pig. And
well, here's the thing, though, Brian. It would take time to explain it. I'm probably not the person to do it because, there's definitely more people that are more experienced and have more knowledge on the subject than me. But in order to be a Christian, okay, yes, you have to do all the things that you just mentioned. You got to be the good person. You got to be working towards it. And you got to remember that there's no perfect person on this planet.
Nope.
There was only ever one, according to Christians. That was Jesus Christ. He was the only perfect person ever on this planet.
Yep.
But in order to be Christian, you have to accept Jesus Christ into your heart, that he is the Lord and Savior. Period. There's no Old Testament anymore. There's no, I believe in God but not Jesus. Well, then you're not a Christian.
Don't let all the liberals tell you, oh, well, Christians have been murdering people for years. Yeah.
Until Jesus Christ came around.
There's wacky Christians,
No, there
there's
absolutely is.
wacky
You had the-
Muslims,
you had
there's
the
wacky there's wacky Jewish people, there's wacky Buddhists.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's wackos on every
I
side.
can give you a list with 20 different mass murders, all done by Muslims. You can't give me the same list of mass murders done in the last 30 years by Christians.
Yeah,
They professed they were Christians, but they weren't.
They might have found God at the death chamber. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
and the electric
George
chair.
Jones said he was, Jesus Christ. I mean, he was leading people, and he,
No, not
killed
George Jones.
Was it George? No,
No, that was
is
the
it
country
Jerry
singer.
Jones or whatever the
No,
guy,
I know.
the guy in Africa.
Kool-Aid drinking pal.
Yeah, that guy.
I thought it was Powers Booth. He played him in the movie.
Powers Booth.
Powers Booth was the guy that played him in the movie. Powers Booth was the colonel in Red Dawn that got shot down. The older guy in Red Dawn. You remember him?
Hey, guys,
The Leah Thompson?
I got a skedaddle. I got birthday cake here, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, have some for us.
Have a good
Catch
one,
you
Paul.
later, buddy. But no, that's there's definitely a big disconnect between with all the different religions, and you're right. I mean, if you go to a true Christian, someone that is Christian, they'll tell you that they're not the judge. Okay, they are not the judge. There is a judge. It's not them. And if they're a true Christian, they should not judge someone for not being a Christian or for being a Catholic or a Jewish or a Muslim even. They shouldn't hold that against them because they don't have the same belief. They might try to convert them because that is their calling.
Yep.
That's what Jesus told them to do. Multiply in abundance and spread the word of God. But if they do judge,
do you
then,
think that would be any religion?
Well, there's a lot of new religions.
There's a lot of new religions, but let's just call the big three or four. When I call them that: Christianity, Muslim, Jewish, and Buddhist.
Well, it's Islam, not Muslim.
Islam.
Sure.
Okay. Well, isn't part of all their doctrines to spread the word?
There is, but
convert because
there is.
Islam. That's one of the things. Either you convert or you die.
Hey, we're going to break. When we get back from break, we'll discuss some more of this. We'll be right back.
And now, back to the Ledge Radio Show.
Welcome back, 239-689-8674. You can email me at jd@theledgeradioshow.com. Check us out on iTunes and our YouTube channel. All right, so Brian the Lib from Naples.
Hello.
Before we went to break, I don't know where we were at, okay? But I know you wanted to bring up something about the slippery slope.
The slippery slope of, convicting somebody outside of a trial.
Okay.
Where and I understand
pre-conviction.
You're
similar to pre-ejaculation but different.
Yes.
Okay.
You're in your business. You're in your shop,
right.
And you
catch an
employee, and they have heroin, they have pot, whatever.
But remember, me as a private business owner, and it's not union, I have a right to fire them right then.
Okay.
They can try to sue me, but luckily we're in a right to work state.
Yep.
So the state says you have the right as a business owner to hire and fire who you want. Mm-hmm. So they're fired. However, enter public employee unions.
Now, okay, let's change the situation.
Okay.
Your employee comes in after a weekend. He was arrested on Friday night.
Okay.
He wasn't in a
company
vehicle or anything like that.
Shirt.
Wasn't anything, but he was arrested for possession of cocaine. Do you have the right to fire him?
And the right to work state, you do.
Yes,
yeah,
you do.
Right to work state.
Okay. Well, he's not convicted yet.
But let's say he's a really good employee. Let's say it's Tripod Bill.
Yep.
And he goes, man,
it wasn't mine, bro.
It wasn't mine. And I'm gonna go. Well, I believe you. I know that sometimes the cops can plant something, maybe, or it was your buddies in his. I can listen. I have the right as the owner to listen to what you got to say.
Yep.
And make a decision, an informed decision based on that.
Yep.
Okay, but let's say I saw the news article. Okay, I'm watching the news, and there comes employee B. He's another great employee, arrested for child porn. Okay, but he's out on bail. and he comes back to work on Monday, and he walks in the door, and I go, yeah, I don't think so. I already know that's over. Okay? Can't work here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have to. Look, man, you go take some time off, get yourself straightened out. I'll bring you back if everything is hunky dory, okay? But same thing if he was, say, a firefighter or a police officer. If he's arrested on the weekend, he's off work for something heinous, okay? But he gets out on bail, and he's not been convicted.
Yep.
Hasn't gone to trial. What are they going to do with him? What's the fire department do when the cops picked up your lieutenant for kiddie porn?
I say he's got to go.
Right. But what does the union do?
But I think.
What does the union do?
Man,
they fight for him, don't they?
Yeah.
Because they have to.
Yep. Because they have to fight for everybody equally.
How would that make you feel as an employee? And you've got a child.
Like I wouldn't like it. But I also understand the concept of you have to treat.
You guys don't take him out back and just whip the shit out of him?
Probably.
Okay.
But I didn't say that.
Right. I hear you.
You know.
So what about the guy that's arrested for drunk driving on a motorcycle or something like that? You know, I mean, to me, if he didn't hurt anybody else, I don't know situations, but let's say the guy injures himself drunk driving on a motorcycle on his own time, he gets picked up for it. Mm-hmm. I'm probably not going to fire him for it. I figure, man, you've already had enough damage done. You already wrecked your bike.
There's a way around that. Now, this guy is arrested for a DUI. He automatically loses his license, correct?
You're
arrested,
I don't know.
and they immediately take your license away.
Okay.
After 30 days, you're eligible for a hardship license.
Okay.
But in that first 30 days,
if he can't drive for me, and I need him to drive, then I guess I could easily fire him.
Yeah.
If I chose to. But
say he's a cop. Say there's a cop, because there are cops out there that will arrest other cops and probably
like Cape Coral cops, they'll do it.
Yeah, they'll get off on it.
Yeah, they like it.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, you're a cop? Oh, yeah, let me show you."
They're just lucky they don't ever leave Cape Coral.
Okay, so now this cop has a patrol car. How can he drive it? He doesn't have a driver's license.
Well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe they reassign him to administrative duties. Right?
Yeah, maybe he goes to a desk, and maybe he can do a good job at a desk. He's not convicted yet.
What happens when he gets convicted of DUI? What do you do then?
Does he continue at the desk job? Well, he's doing a really good job over the desk job. Okay, let's keep him on.
What if he's a congressman and got busted with cocaine? Does a really good job voting on stuff. But he got convicted.
He got convicted. He admitted it right away. Yeah, I wave this flag of conservatism.
Well, now see, there you go again, though. So to be a conservative, you got to be straight ace. Straight laced, no issues. You've got to be a Christian, no drugs. But if you're a liberal, you could be a crack smoking mayor from D.C.
No, I don't.
And it's okay.
It's illegal. The point is that it's illegal.
But you still hold the conservative to a higher standard. Because
I will pee in a cup any day of the week, and I will test clean.
I would say that too if I was you.
Well, no, I will. Oh. I don't have a problem. My employer can pee test me every time I come to work. I do not have a problem with that. I will pass it. But I also...
Is that only if they give you a 72-hour notice?
No.
Oh, okay.
I also... Well, marijuana stays in your system up to and exceeding 30 days.
Even if they do those cleansing things that the Purple Ringer has?
Still doesn't. They can be... It's in your hair. I mean...
They don't put your hair in your pee.
No, but I'm saying they can test your hair.
They could.
They could. They couldn't because you don't have any hair.
Could they get high if they smoked your hair?
No, they couldn't. But that's the point is that if marijuana was legal, I would smoke it. But it's not. So I can't.
Right.
So I follow the law that is of this land. And that is exactly what God in the Bible tells us to. You will follow the law of the land.
Right.
You know, and if that means pay your taxes, if that means don't smoke pot, if that means
you have to buy health insurance.
You have to buy health insurance. If you're not allowed to drink and
dumb laws.
There are some dumb laws. How about the one I posted on Facebook the other day?
What was it?
That in 2 states it's illegal to smoke pot.
Right. But in 23 states...
In 23 states, it's legal to have sex with an animal. Really? There's a lot of stupid laws out there.
There are some stupid laws.
There's some... Off this wall, That just doesn't. They don't make any point.
Well, there's a lot of laws still in the books from way back, too.
The point I was getting to.
Thank God.
Oh my God! This is. Can we get the short version?
Yeah. It's gonna be a long story.
The point is that everybody's entitled to that fair trial.
Hey, scrape bottom with Rodham 2016. What difference does it make?
They're saying she's the next president.
Of course they are, because they are the media and they love her.
They do.
But
they love her.
And they love her because she's a woman, yet they hate Sarah Palin, they hate Michelle Bachmann, and any other female conservative. But Hillary Clinton, they want her.
They do. Not my choice.
Why not?
I'd take her husband again.
You're just like Smitty. Smitty. Thought he was the best president ever.
I wouldn't say ever, but I think he
wasn't the economy doing better under George Bush than Bill Clinton? He was freaking booming,
but
dude.
The government finally had a surplus. The only time in the history.
Well, yes, but who wrote the plan? Newt Gingrich, the conservative leader of the Congress.
But that's the point. They worked together. Bill Clinton had
He had to. He found out.
Exactly.
He had to, or he wasn't going to get reelected. That's why.
Or nothing was going to get done. Exactly what's happening today. Nothing gets done because they're not willing to work together. Here's a fact. The fact is the country is split. 40-40, and there's another 20% that floats back and forth.
Pretty good math skills. I like it.
40 and 40 is 80, and there's another 20% in between that floats back and forth. Our country is split at this point.
Have you ever seen it this split since since the Civil War?
Does that mean we're going to civil war again?
I'm just saying, have you ever seen this much animosity between Democrats and Republicans? I've never seen it.
I've never followed the way I follow today.
And I can say probably, there's obviously a lot more reach
when I was
social
15,
media.
Politics was the last thing that I was thinking about.
I can believe that, but your parents, let's say your parents or my parents, they watch the news. They watch Dan Rather, Walter Cronkite, whatever. I never heard my dad saying, those damn Democrats, they've screwed us again, or those damn Republicans.
They didn't say Republican, they just said Johnson. Oh, that Johnson or that.
Well, that was in Forrest Gump. I mean, we all know, all know that line, but the point is, this division has never been there. Yet the
division has always been there.
Never.
Go back in your political cartoons. The Republicans are always thrown at the Dems, and the Dems are always thrown at the Republicans.
Yeah, but I'm talking about with the populace, with the population.
JD, I'll put money on it.
We've never been
I'll put money on
and
it.
It's because of this
20 years from now, it'll be the same exact way.
Oh, I don't doubt it's getting worse and worse. Because of this president.
It's not because of this president. It's because of the technology today, and we find out at a blink of an eye.
That definitely helps us find out, but let me tell you the difference. Bill Clinton was a Democrat and had some policies that I would have said were horrible. Okay? But we had a decent economy. Mm-hmm. Things were moving along. He was able to work with a Republican to get some some changes implemented in the for the economy that worked. That was one thing. He made small, subtle changes. Remember, one of his first laws that he introduced, one of the first laws he passed, was allowing gays in the military. That was his big thing. Okay, he had to pay back somebody.
Every president wants a stamp with their name on it, where they're going to have some kind of mark. Nobody wants to be a Jimmy Carter. Nobody wants to be
Barack Obama.
His Barack Obama's stamp is going to be a bad one.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think George W. Now, was he a bad president?
I didn't think so.
I didn't think he was that bad either. Was he that
great? Looking back now, I'm going, damn, I wish he was here.
I wish Bill Clinton was here because I think it was better during those times.
Well, I think that the Republicans and the Democrats worked better together, but
and it made our country.
You know one reason why they did work better together? Because they were a lot closer. Meaning in philosophy, there was not a big divide between you had the Republican, the country club Republicans and the Democrats. They were kind of the same people.
You paint the picture back what it was like when George W. first came into office. He came into office.
Well, 9 months later, you had 9/11.
He had 9/11, and there was what other thing other than Pearl Harbor has our country been attacked. So united?
Right. Well, it's because
undeniably
we've never really been attacked like that.
Exactly.
Not from an outside force like that. And that
And it's not. It wasn't even like one country that we could focus on.
But my
the
point is, though,
the Patriot Act came out of that,
Yeah,
which is a lot of the FEMA and all.
Which is terrible. It ended up being good. It was good. It was a good idea, and probably ran under the right leadership. Could work correctly, but under a tyrannical regime, can be devastating to the people.
Obama, good concept. Under the wrong leadership, bad program.
Well, let me get back to what I was going to say.
No,
let me say, with Bill Clinton, and the reason why I say that the country's so divided now, and I agree with the social media and the amount of media that's out there that gets us information at lightning speed. That's very true. You get it on your phones and everything. And I sit there and I look at Drudge at night, whatever. I would never look at that before. But in the old days, before Obama, the Democrats played a slow hand. The reason I say that is because they made small incremental changes to America. You went from the New Deal, with Roosevelt, Wilson, and all those, up until now, little teeny changes. You had Jimmy Carter; he made the energy Department of Energy. Small little changes, where we went, that's not so bad. We can live with that. Obama came in and showed his hand. It was like socialism 101. He was like, "Bam! I got 4 aces, bitch." And he's like, "I'm gonna ram it down your throat."
So
we
were
like, "Whoa!"
So the socialism of the Patriot Act under George W. Bush is okay, but under Obama it's not.
Let me
that's
ask you
what
this.
doesn't make that's what doesn't make any.
Let me ask you this.
But let me finish
Wait,
this. Let me finish
Do
this
you
thought.
not agree, though, that two different leaders can use the same law in very different ways? One guy can be tyrannical. One guy actually is decent. Actually cares about his country, gives high fives to service members, salutes all of the Marines at Air Force One when he gets on and off the jet, goes
Which
to the
is not
wounded
true.
warrior,
And he never had his feet on the desk. Well, there's plenty of pictures with almost every president with their feet on the desk.
goes to the supports wounded warriors.
They all support it. I mean, how can you say they don't?
Well,
I don't.
Obama does not.
I don't. That's.
Does not.
That's.
He's playing
complete-
golf.
That's and sort of George W. Bush. He was out on his ranch.
His ranch. That was his house.
That was in Texas. He
That
was
was
in
his
Texas.
that was
Rather
his
than go
house.
to Camp David, why did he go all the way to Texas? Why did he spend all that taxpayer
Obama
money?
hasn't spent that much time at Camp David. He's been to Hawaii.
That's
and
where his
Europe
home
and-
is.
Yeah.
That's where one of his homes.
How come
is.
he doesn't stay in his home?
I don't know.
He
You
stays
have
in a
to-
big celebrity's home.
Yeah. Here's the question I've always asked myself is that Obama ran, Guantanamo's going to get shut down. These wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, he said all that so he can get the liberals to vote for him.
Okay, and then he did, and what was the conversation in that national security to make him change his mind? He seemed pretty adamant that he was going to do all that stuff. All that stuff was going to come to an end.
I don't think he cared about any of it. I think he was a politician. I think he said that crap knowing he wouldn't do it.
Maybe I'm going to sound like a real big conspiracy theorist, but I think there's stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
I hope there is.
And I hope there is too, that we don't know about and we do not want to know about.
Well, I didn't want him to close Guantanamo. I don't want those prisoners either being let loose or coming here. I'd rather keep them down there. I'd rather ship them to Antarctica for all I care. Why would you even run on that? It's because of the people that were so afraid of the rights of the terrorists. They were terrorists.
They
that
don't
tried
have
to
a
kill
country.
us.
They don't have a country to go back to.
And who gives a crap?
I don't care.
You know what I'm
either.
saying? I mean,
but see, here's the problem. Now we're pumping money into this thing. I don't know. It doesn't sound liberal at all. But can we just
kill him?
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. Oh, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Military tribunal.
Let's go back to Old Testament, man. Eye for an eye.
Not even. I don't even have to go back to that. I just say military tribunal. Okay, you're found. Here's the facts. Da 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 da. You were convicted of this. Bang. Boom.
Done.
There it is, right there.
39 cents. I'm with it. I agree. But you know why they don't? Because the liberal leftists have such a large lobbying group because of the rights of the prisoners.
But
they'd rather these people. These are the people that would rather kill a human than a dog. Okay.
You watch anything about politics, whether it be any kind of document.
Who's the only person?
All sides have their lobbyists.
Who's the only person?
The conservatives have just as many lobbyists
right.
as the liberals.
Who's the only person fighting for prisoners' rights but fighting to kill babies with abortions. A liberal. They're perfectly fine with a mother killing her child, but they don't want you dare to kill that prisoner. No more murder. Wait a minute, you just wanted me to murder all my kids. That don't make any sense. The baby can't even fight for himself, but the prisoner had his chance.
I'm pro-choice. You make.
You mean
that
you're
choice.
pro-murder?
Yep.
Because that's what pro-choice means.
Yeah.
You choose to kill an innocent baby.
I'm not killing anybody.
At what age? What age of the child should a mother not be allowed to kill her child?
When that child can sustain itself outside the womb.
Is that 4 months, 5 months, 6 months?
I don't know. We'll have to get a doctor.
But before then,
I wish a doctor would call in
But
and
right
tell
before
us.
then, when they couldn't sustain, because now let me get this straight. Let's say at 4 months they can't sustain themselves outside of the womb because their lungs aren't developed.
Yep.
So if they were accidentally born through no fault of their own,
Yep.
and they would normally die at that point, then it's okay to go ahead and reach in with forceps and start pulling their arms and legs apart to rip them out of the uterus, because that's how they do it.
Yep.
That's how they do it.
I believe that done by a medical doctor, not on a
Not
street
a Planned Parenthood. Those are not medical doctors.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Because here's the problem. Here's why your philosophy doesn't work. The Republicans are trying to pass laws in certain states not to fund Planned Parenthood if they don't have medical doctors doing the abortions.
Well, I've never heard.
And they're fighting against it, going, "Oh, if you do that, we're going to have people doing backyard abortions and alley abortions." You know what? People have been doing abortions all this time.
I can go to Planned Parenthood right now. You can. I can. Any male can go there, and they can get a vasectomy, and they kill all our little unborn children.
Well,
because
sperm
they're no
isn't children.
Yeah, but it's the beginning of life.
No, it's not. It's not till it meets the egg, buddy.
I know. So there's no more possibility.
Well, here's
of
the
those,
thing.
of those things coming together.
I'll tell you what. You've got your
I
definition.
have my views.
You got your definition of when life begins, and you don't want to end it after life can be sustained.
I'm not going to do it.
Do you think, though, that when that person that chooses to kill their baby gets to heaven, and they get up to the pearly gates, and they go, "Well, God, I didn't think that life began then, or I didn't think the baby would sustain it." What do you think God's going to say? Do you think he's going to buy? Is he going to buy that definition, or is he going to go, "No, I gave you life. You ended it. I'm ending yours now, and you will go to hell forever."
And if that's God's choice to do that, then that's God's choice. And if that's the way God is,
let me ask you this: why is it though that because Planned Parenthood says, "Oh,
God gives us the right and the mind to make our own choices. He doesn't forcing us to do anything." And not everybody has the same views
yeah, but I know,
as.
Let me ask you this. Let me put a different perspective.
It's legal to get an abortion.
You and your girlfriend, okay, driving down the road.
Yep.
Your girlfriend's 3 months pregnant.
Yep.
Okay. Get in a car accident, DUI. Yep. Somebody hits you. Kills the baby. The guy that just ran the red light on the DUI goes to prison for murder of that baby, for vehicular homicide. However, if the same woman was heading to Planned Parenthood to choose to kill her own baby, she has no charges. None. Why? Ooh, stunner. Right?
I guess we need to fix the legal system again.
That's the thing. We created a law to protect mothers who want to kill their babies, but we didn't protect the DUI guy who runs into them in a car and kills the same baby on the way to Planned Parenthood so she could kill her baby.
I guess I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I'm not going to have an abortion anytime soon.
I know you won't.
I know I won't. And if someone wants to do it, I'm not going to discriminate against them because I think that that's their right. And isn't
it your job to protect the innocent as a firefighter?
Yep.
Isn't a baby the most innocent of all life?
Correct.
But you say the mother can kill him because she chooses to.
It's legal in our system.
And you know what? If
I'm not
she
saying
chooses
it's
to do
right.
it, no,
I'm not saying
you
it's
are.
right.
It is right because you're okay with it, so it must be right. But now let me ask you this: another scenario. She wants to get an abortion because she doesn't want to be bothered right now by the child, or she's only 17, she's still in school, and doesn't want to ruin her high school education. Well, so she gets an abortion, it's all fine and dandy, you know, the government says it's okay.
Moves on,
life moves on.
Blah, blah, blah.
But let's say she has the baby, and the baby's 2 years old. The baby's really a problem. I mean, it's really stopping me from going out to the club and, getting that job I want, because I got to have daycare, and
now she wraps it up. She does a Casey
now
Anthony.
she kills it. Well, at what age should she not be allowed to kill her baby though? Because it was a bother.
I hear all your arguments.
It's not. You can't. Don't say you're pro-choice. You're pro-baby murder because that's what it is.
No,
the Democrats have allowed.
Because you
picked the definition.
Now here's we're coming to the end of the show, and we're going to put this, the baby killer on me.
Are you not?
No.
You say you're pro-choice, but pro-choice only means you support abortion.
I support that individual's right to make their own decision.
But their decision is either to have life or murder.
Just like I support the right for you to be Christian,
right?
Or if
that doesn't kill you. But that's not killing anybody.
If Tripod over there wanted to be Muslim, that's his choice.
Let me
ask
you
this. If he doesn't want to be,
if you've seen a woman laying next to you, she's got a 3-month-old, 4-month-old fetus inside, okay, and someone sticks one of those gripper things that you pull fish hooks out of a bass with, okay. But they stick it up in there to grab the legs of the baby, and they literally have to twist it to pull the legs off.
I'm not saying it's a pretty thing. I'm not saying it's.
Is it murder? Is the baby not living? Is it living?
Yes, it is.
Heart's
living.
beating, brains pumping. Yeah. You can see the flickering. You can see it moving.
Yeah, I agree.
It's got hands.
I agree.
They just rip the hands off.
It's not something that I'm going to do, and it's not something.
But you're okay with someone else doing it.
If they're okay with it, then. I can't. I'm gonna stand before whatever God there is someday, and hopefully I make it okay. But
What if he says to you, you didn't defend the baby's life, and you went, well, I thought it was a woman's choice, and he went, no, it's my choice. It's a life.
Then I'm gonna have to pay the consequences for that.
Are you willing to pay those
consequences? I am willing to pay those consequences.
To jump on the fad.
And you know what I'm gonna tell him?
And it was cool.
I'm going to tell him, what about that guy I saved over here? And what about this?
He's going to say, all your rights don't fix that wrong of all those babies that were killed. Yeah. They were the innocent of all. They were the ones that needed the protection the most because they couldn't fight for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. If you put all those factors in, you go.
I'm not saying it's.
Damn, it don't sound good.
I'm not saying it is. It is a.
I know it's something. It's really tough to end the show on that.
Yeah.
But we are up on hard break into the show. Perhaps depending on your schedule next week, maybe we can get you back, or maybe on the phone
for the following week or whatever.
I'd love to have you on. I think it was a great discussion.
Mm-hmm. I had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, we've got room for more than 2 hosts in here, so perhaps
as long as Paul doesn't shoot me or something like that, or body slam me again, right. I would love to sit next to him.
No body slamming in the front yard.
No body slamming, not even out in the parking lot.
I got you. No knocking out. You can't knock him out in the front yard.
No one gets knocked out.
That's right.
Nothing like that.
No old stuff coming back.
Nope.
All right. Well, everybody, we appreciate you listening. It's been a lively discussion, and I think I've learned something today from liberal Brian from Naples, socially liberal,
fiscally
conservative. Yep. Let me keep my money, but I want to kill your baby. I want you to kill your baby.
I'm not killing my baby. You can do what you want with yours.
All right. Ledge Radio Show. We'll be back next week, same time, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Check us out.